and we are live today on Dragonborn Industries as we're here to watch Richard Denyer of Warrior Prince 3D scramble to make a character. Good afternoon, world. Welcome back to Dragonborn Industries, where Richard, we're on episode 15. Did you know that? Yeah, like I thought 10 was pretty impressive, and I'm genuinely impressed that we've managed to get to 15. We've kept a regular schedule, and you know, this has been one hell of a fun show to do. I really enjoy that it's been so chaotic for me and you before the streams, and that most of the time, even today, to everybody watching, that we I primed mine this morning around 10 o'clock, and then even now I'm like, so I did something at 11 o'clock that I started like prepping a base for it. Or I was just like throwing some terrain on it, and I was like, oh fuck, here we go, I've done it again. Hello to everybody in chat. It's great to see you all back again. I can see Herbalist Dragon Skull, we can see Dibs, and we can see Fluffy. I hope you guys are all doing well, and I'm sure as people come in we'll say hello and whatnot. But today we're going to be facing a Death Tyrant. We are still on the Beholder series, and this is probably the highest CR of them all. This is an undead Beholder that, when they go into a sleep state, their minds can create things because they are from the far realm. And a Death Tyrant happens when a Beholder dreams of life after death and how to retain its power past that final hurdle. And their skin falls off and they become horribly evil, even more so, and they're awful. And yeah, I'm going to be playing one of those today, and Richard's literally just finished, I'm hoping, making a level 3 character.
Yep.
Awesome. Just so I've got something and I can start preparing, what have you got?
I have got Alice, the half-elf druid of the land. And now I've given her a bit of a tickle this week, so she's got a family heirloom.
Yes. So I said to Richard he can have something big because, let's face it, level 3 against a CR fucking 14 creature. This is going to be another quick combat. What you got?
She's I didn't go legendary. She's got a staff of thunder and lightning.
Hey, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. So
we're going to Staff of the Magi, but I thought that might be a push.
No, that's fair enough. So you've got a decent item about you there. But Richard, why didn't you introduce yourself and let us know who you are, where people can find you, and what is your favourite animal?
I am Richard from Warrior Prince 3D. I am a lovely little 3D printing company. We handle anything from wee little minis to collectibles to any sort of tabletop terrain, models, collectibles, big things. You know, anything I can fit on my printer. I can be found on Facebook, Instagram, Etsy. As I often say, down the road on the corner. Dragonborn band of badgers I'm usually about hanging around with, and pretty much anywhere you'd like to try and find some sort of 3D printing going.
And what was your favourite animal?
It is a mix of, well, a combination of two, as it were. There's two. I have a favourite animal, which is two, which is a bear and a wolf.
A wolf.
A wolf. I can never choose between the two.
Really?
Yeah.
Hands down, it's a cat for me.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've always been a cat person. Always. And, I just love them. They're just great. They don't give a shit.
No, they really don't. They're dead.
Anyway, I hope everybody, like I said, is doing well. So Richard obviously does 3D printing, and the point of this series, once more, is to try and get a miniature tabletop ready in 1 hour. I'm going to be painting up the Nolzers, and I actually am going to... There we go. It's there. This is the Nolzers WizKids one. I picked this up from Happy Piranha Troro. It's about £8, and... pretty simple miniature. What I did do is I took the base bit and we're fucking it off again because I have an issue with doing anything like that, apparently. And I've literally just stuck a load of random bits of broken 3D prints and terrain down on that, and a little Warhammer stick, and I'm going to do that so it looks even more floaty. Richard, what are you painting today?
So I have gone with, in keeping with the other Beholders I painted out, so Loot Studios that printed this lovely little beauty behind me, they have done an undead version of it, a variant. So that...
Oh, I like that.
I'll get me book, because then it'll...
Get me book.
If I can get that right, then get that right.
Oh, I like that the eye is so recessed and it's like a... Oh, look at that! It's almost like a rune. Dude, your camera's got so much better.
And that is what I'll be painting today.
Oh, that's lovely. Lovely. And for those of you who don't know, last week we did the Beholder, and during that episode we announced that there is going to be a giveaway for that Beholder that you can see down there in the bottom left of Richard's screen. It's that one there, isn't it, Richard?
No, it's not that one.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're all right.
No, I'm sorry.
I was meant to do it, but it's packed up, ready to go for the competition winner.
Because that's going to end on the last day of the month.
I painted the mini version of it.
Oh, dude, it looks so good, that eye. But not only can you win the Beholder, you can actually get hold of this. This is the Beholder dice that I did to be sent out with it. And we've got a lovely little eye in there. And if you look at it from different angles, it refracts brilliantly. Hello, Absalom. Welcome to the chat. Great to see you, my friend. But yeah, so Alice, the level 3 half-elf druid. I'm going to set a timer. Are you ready to try and make this tabletop ready within an hour?
Within an hour?
Within an hour. Do you think you'll do it?
I hope so. I've just sent you the picture of the giveaway.
Awesome. I'll drop that in a bit.
I think I stand a good chance, much better chance than the other Beholder.
What techniques do you think you're going to use today?
I am going to contrast and dry brush the shit out of it.
I'm pretty much going to do the same, but I'm going to mostly dry brush, and then I'm going to use inks and a little bit of contrast for those eyes, because the Nolzers have left the eyes, or WizKids have left the Nolzers' eyes on there transparent still, and what I found is alcohol inks that I use for resin really...
Brilliant transparent stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Dibs. Cheats. Hey man, dry brushing's a technique, and you know, if we need to be tabletop ready in an hour, if you've got to DM a session within an hour, and you've got to get there, and you're like, oh god, we can show you that you can prime it an hour before, and then spend an hour painting it. But Alice, we are going to set some scenes. I will start a timer, and then we can begin the painting. I hope everybody at home is ready. If you're painting along, have some fun. I think we're going to be over pretty quick in terms of the CR.
I'm surprised if I can get to the bloody creature, but you know.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that as and when we get through this. So I'm going to start the timer. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I'm not going to have you roll initiative straight away, because we've got to talk about some things. Timer starts now. We've got 1 hour. So, the Death Tyrant is obviously one of the bigger ends of the Beholder. And as we go through this, I'll start with what I'm starting with on the paint job. This is my same favourite paint, Bear Brown by the Army Painter. It's the Oak Brown from their standard War Painter range, or in the starter set, Oak Brown. And I'm going to be using this as my base layer over black. And I'm going to be stippling it on. But the Death Tyrant is a horrible creature with a horrible layer ability, and it's just unreal. And wherever you're from, wherever realms or whatever has drawn you to this quest, you have taken on a role in a party and had to make your way to slay a monster in its cavern, in its lair. And along the way, you have faced odd situations where you think you've seen an eye or a glowing orb, or you constantly feel like you're being watched, and it's been eerie. And as you've got closer, you found there's been more undead in the area, and one by one your party has been picked off by these undead. Just hordes of them, like an army. And they're not just all from like one army that's done it. It's like over time, all of these dead bodies have been made servant to some unknown beast. But, however, I would say, knowing that it was a Death Tyrant that you were sent over to try and get, or try and kill, or try and slay, that you would know that this is one of the effects that they have. And it is. If you're building a dungeon for a Death Tyrant, undead armies, tons of them, and like zombies and skeletons all have low HP and low CRs, and they are just cannon fodder for this thing. They just raise them up and send them out. And numbers can be overwhelming, especially when it gets to action economy in D&D. You finally make it to a cavern, a cave system, a hole in a mountain that starts to lead down, and the last few members of your party getting picked off still along the way with traps, and still with this ever-present feeling of being watched. make your way down until there is only you. But there is still a way to go. You stand in a tunnel, and doing your research, you would know that beholders can use their disintegration ray to carve paths through dirt, through stone, through mountains to create their layers. And there are these perfect disintegration ray beams that have been through here, and you can follow them. However, some of them lead upwards, and you've had to like use your abilities, or you've had to use equipment that you've got to find your way to what seems like an antechamber, an old forgotten dwarven mine of some kind that this tyrant has clearly set up home in. And in front of you are just skeleton upon skeleton upon skeleton, bone upon bone across the floor, old swords, shields, cloaks, civilian clothing and attire, just like a waste of dwarven bodies. But at the far end, a large brass door stands, and in front of it, 4 skeletons stand guard, unmoving. You don't see anything about them, but they are certainly stood up, and that seems unnatural, but also a lot like the skeletons that you've come across on your path so far. At the moment, they haven't seen you. I hand it over to you. What would you like to do?
Okay. I'm safe to say that it is they may have not have seen me, however, the master of the lair knows I'm.
So this is the thing about beholders. They can pretty much see everything, and that's kind of in the name, beholder. They behold things, and with that feeling of unease and that feeling of being watched, you get the feeling that maybe they know you're here.
Okay, I'm on my own, aren't I?
You are. By now, the rest of your party has died.
Bunch of bitches.
Yeah, and rightly so. And the reason I'm doing this as just a level 3 character is because this is one of those classic monsters again, and I think if you are to throw this at a party that's low level, let alone one player, this will show you how bad they can be. But hopefully Rich has got a tiny, teeny bit of a chance with a powerful weapon. We'll see.
Yeah, I might last a little while to flick its nose.
Maybe 2 rounds.
How you say that? Are they in the front of a chamber or doorway? Or?
Yeah, it's like this huge brass doorway. So you know, like the Mines of Moria, and there's like that entranceway in the hallway. Yeah. You know dwarves, you know that behind that would be something like that, but it's a big brass doorway.
Is it open?
It's slightly ajar, but these 4 skeletons stand in the way.
Invisibility on myself.
Perfect. Mark off the spell slot, and then you cast invisibility. How's it look when you cast your magic, Alice?
So as I cast it, and a swirl of dust sort of comes from the ground, the smell of grass hits the air, and literally sort of slight shivers spread across my body as my form begins to disperse. And it almost is into the ether, into a breeze of fresh cut grass and elderberries.
Ah, that's really nice. Hopefully you survive.
Fingers crossed.
And what would you like to do?
And then I'm going to head towards I'm going to try and basically get around the skeletons and get through that gap in the door.
Nice. So roll me a stealth check. Obviously you have advantage on this for casting invisibility, but that feeling of being watched still doesn't leave you.
No, I don't. Oh, okay, natural 20. First roll of the thing.
Well done, buddy. That's awesome. Yeah, you think that you're deathly quiet, and you begin making your way all the way to the door. You like place your feet carefully, and you like are managing to like move slow enough that like you can like part some of the bones and stuff, and like get your feet to firm stone. And then eventually you make it to the door. And there's a moment where somewhere behind you there's like a of like stone falling off a wall, or maybe like a rumble, and there's like a and one of the skeleton's heads just like turns almost like a centimeter, just as if it was looking, and you just see these voidless holes where its eyes should be, and it just stops moving again after that. It doesn't seem to like be ready or anything, and you hold your breath and you bait for a minute, and then you manage to slip in through the door. And you enter, and it is this dwarven hallway of like huge pillars with dwarven architecture and runes. There is gold coins scattered everywhere. There's ore in the walls, and like if it wasn't for the skeletons around and all of the the dead here that haven't been raised. There is just artwork and yeah, it's just a place of beauty, but it's so marred in death right now that it's hard to see anything but the juxtaposition here.
Okay, I spend a second to compose myself. I know where I'm going. I'm going to meet my end, but if I can do something before I go back to the land and hopefully be feed some sort of earth, I press on.
Okay, and you start making your way through the hallway again, and I'll keep the nat 20 for that stealth check. And yeah, it's huge, and it's always so impressive for to see dwarven architecture. For people so stout to see something so grandeur and huge is always an interesting thing. But then to see the level of death and decay here is a whole other feeling and a whole other I guess life experience is the best way of putting it. There are chambers that lead off from here on each side, and you can see ahead of you there are more doors on the far wall. There are hearths with extinguished fires, and yeah, it's a case of just choosing where you want to go, really. You can give me a history check to see if you know how a dwarven structure would be, and if there's a way that you could find a way around. In the meantime, I have to wait for my brown to dry because I've stippled it on quite heavy, but that is quite literally my base layer over black, and there is still some white around the eye. That's mainly because I stuffed a load of blue tack in there to stop the primer from getting in, but that's going to work to my advantage when I get to the eyes. So I'm going to take some greys and I'm going to dry brush up the stone here on the base.
History check was a solid 12.
12. For the sake of moving things forward, we'll say the DC was a 10. Maybe there was dwarves in your party that knew of this place and they were, long lineages from here. And you know that the throne room is deep beneath the mountain caves. And you can begin to ascertain that the grandest of the doors must lead to more important things. And there is one at the far end off to one side that leads to an open stairwell. And it seems to go up and down on either side. And yeah, you think heading down is probably the way to go.
You say I had dwarves with me?
In the party, yeah.
So knowing what I know of dwarves, and obviously with their lineages here, I would have asked them to teach me over the time we were adventuring, and I'd even make note of specific runes and rune markings that might denote certain points of interest. Also, knowing dwarves and knowing as much as they love building beautiful things, they prepare for certain situations, because when you dig underground, it can happen. So if there are any runes that might benefit me from traps or hidden escapes, anything as the such.
Okay, so let's make two different checks here. Let's go with, first of all, give me an intelligence check just to see how well you learn from your party.
18.
18, okay. You can make an investigation check with advantage, my friend. As you look for traps and you look for runes, you look for where dwarves talk about stone and their stone cunning, you're okay, I'm looking for floor plates, I'm looking for anything.
I needed that advantage. I rolled a 7 and a 19.
Okay. There's a few things you notice, and there are clearly traps here that have been set off. You can see that's killed a lot of the civilians in certain areas that maybe once some of the undead got in, or maybe whoever was here has set them off and it backfired on the people. But what you notice is some of them have been reset, which is odd. But then you think about beholders and you think about their nature and their paranoia and their need for power, and especially with the Death Tyrant surrounding themselves with an army of the undead. And you notice that maybe with these reset ones, some of the bodies have been moved to recover them or to hide the traps in certain ways. But also there are traps that you weren't expecting that aren't dwarven at all. There are areas that have been disintegrated above you near the tops of columns that, should you set off one of these traps, the roof would cave in this hallway before you manage to get to the stairwell. using that and having that investigation check, you work out where you can step with this information from your fallen party members. And it was really rigged to go. It was the top of every column. There is like a chunk missing, and it's like the tiniest rumble would bring this place down. You manage to sneak across the room and get to the stairwell, and you see written in Dwarvish, Throne, King of the Mountain, Garmagog. And then there's like, it's almost like it's leading you downstairs, whereas there is like War Room, Chambers, Arcane written on plaques and runes that would lead up the stairs.
Follow the signs to the throne room.
Heading down to the throne room.
See, what was the other room? Sorry,
They were like general kind of like I guess like what you'd find in a stronghold, but like the upstairs or going up the mountain seems to be like rooms for wizards and clerics and prayers, churches, and all the lower levels seems to be like the levels around the hall seem to be like living quarters and stuff. Then down further deep is like throne room and maybe like forges and stuff like that.
Can I find the symbol for the mining operation?
Yeah, you need to head down. So Dibs says, what if the player couldn't read Dwarvish? Well, Dibs, they're fucked. Quite literally, that is one of the things that can slow a party down. And when you create a character in D&D, you do have to think about the languages you want to choose. And it's not something you usually get to discuss with a party beforehand, but it is something you can learn along your adventures. And the common core races, Elvish, Dwarvish, Gnomish, they're all kind of ones. Okay, let's I can't let that comment through, Dibs, just in case we trigger anyone. I apologize for that, but kind of there is languages can be a real way to slow a party down, or a real way for a party to get through a dungeon super quick. But yeah, if you want to find the mining operation, Alice, you need to head down.
Okay, because I know they use explosives and magical bits and pieces that are found that they might have escaped notice.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm about to start using some Army Painter Skeleton Bone, and I'm just dry brushing in a downward motion, especially around the jaw and the teeth. How are you getting on with your paint job?
I'm all right. I've done the first layer of contrasts, and I'm just going in and nipping around a few places just to highlight some areas I want lighter before I do my second round of contrast.
Nice.
Just to bring out a couple of the bits and pieces.
And what contrast are you using?
So I'm using Skeleton Horde contrast for the main body of the Death Tyrant, and its horns. I've actually used a contrast Gore-Gruncher fur, and I basically blended them in, and I intend to dry brush on the horns later.
Nice. Yeah, I'm going to go through the Skeleton Bone, and then I'm going to add some. It is Terminatus Stone, because I really like that as like a highlight for bone. So you begin making your way down, and there is a corridor that looks very, very grandiose that comes off the stairs, maybe a couple of flights down, and you would expect this to be the area to the throne room. And although you know that's probably where you need to go, and the sense of feeling of being watched is intensified, you keep going down because you think that's where the forges are and the mining operation was. You keep heading down the stairs.
Yep.
Until you get to, it just opens into a cold forge. This is a huge, like if you can imagine like the Star Forge in Thor, when he goes and gets what is the name of the Titan killing axe in Marvel?
Mjolnir, and you've got Stormbreaker.
Stormbreaker. That kind of, those big lava pouring vestibules and stuff, they're all in here, but it's cold. It's completely dead, and there should be this huge fire in the center. but it is gone. There is dust, there are more undead, but not as many as there were up at the top. Almost as if the undead were all sent up there to protect the lair, as nobody could really get in from down here. It's up to you. What would you like to do?
While still invisible, I'm going to look around to see if there's anything I can use as a weapon or possibly to detonate to destroy this place.
Okay, so give me another investigation check since we're looking around down here. And we're in a different room.
Oh, that is a full natural.
Nice! For a total of?
For a investigation, total of 21.
Okay, so there's a reason I ask for the total off. So for people watching, a natural 20 is an automatic hit in combat, and a natural 1 is an automatic failure. However, it doesn't guarantee an automatic success or an automatic failure for a natural 20 or a natural 1 when you roll them for a skill check. So if the DC is only 5 and you've got a +6, you can roll in that one and you can still get 7. So it gives you those reasons to have higher modifiers. Or if you've got, you roll a nat 20, but it's a really hard skill check that's like a DC 30, you're going to need like a +10 in there at least. And that's something that you can hone in as you level up your characters. However, for the 21, you see a few weapons that seem untarnished. Maybe a sword, maybe a crossbow, maybe something you're proficient with. You let me know. And I will give you a +3 weapon that you are proficient with. And something... you hear it. And you're not sure what it is, but it's emanating from the center of that fire, where it should be on. Oh, I couldn't hear you there.
I go and investigate.
Okay, so you start heading over to the fire, and as you take more and more steps, you hear it again, and it gets warmer. Almost like the fire is on, but you can't see anything, and then you get to the fire, and what you see is where the forge is, stone, ores, so many different things have been placed over the top of this, and then like you can see where like disintegrations have been done, and there are just somebody has tried to encase something here, and you can hear it beating. You can feel the heat.
Okay. Can I try and... I look for the bellows in the forge. Can I try and stoke the fire?
Yeah, I'd say it's easy enough with that additional nat 20 that you had earlier. You find these massive bellows and a crank, and they're huge, and you would imagine like 1 or 2 dwarves would like push them round to like pump the bellows up and down. Give me a strength check.
Oh, I'm actually a strong druid. 16.
Okay. It's hard, and you'll take a point of exhaustion, because I would say that 2 dwarves are going to be stronger than a half-elf, and the DC would have been around 25. And you finally get it going, and... as the bellows start to pump, and you feel that heat, you hear the crackle. It's almost like you hear wings. And then the stone, the metalwork that's been placed on top of this, you hear that, and then it glows and it begins to melt, and as it melts away, the room is filled with fiery orange glow, and there is...
I turn to dust.
No, you feel invigorated. You feel like this heat, this strength. Where does it come from? Like, how did they harness whatever this is? And as it melts away, you see the fires burn, and then like lava starts to pour out, like molten rock from the forge and into like other areas that then start to light up other bits of the forge. And rising out of the center of that forge, you see a giant heart. Give me an Arcana check.
It's a 19.
This is a dragon's heart.
What?
This is... Something has been enchanted on it to keep it beating even outside of its host body. And you... Yeah, this is the way it looks. It's point of striation. The fact that lava drips off it, even though it's like... It's some kind of magical essence. And it has been enchanted to keep the forge aflame for eternity. And although there are no dwarves working here, the heart never died. And you think... If you can find a way to destroy this, maybe, you could bring this place down. Maybe with the upstairs having all of those disintegrated tops of those pillars and all of those areas in which you know that like the slightest rumble could bring this down. What happens if you can send a pulse wave of power from a dragon through this place? However, when the forge lights up and when the room begins to activate, and almost like, you know, in Skyrim when you activate like a Dwemer runes, it's like you just hear this something screams above you. Who is in my lair? And you just watch as part of the roof above you is just disintegrated away, and pink and red glow against the orange and yellow of the fire, and this skull starts to descend down.
Right, you said I think if I destroy this heart, I can bring it down.
You know it would be a death sentence, a suicide mission, but you would bring this place down.
Right, okay.
And in the meantime, while you look at how to do that, I am taking some of my Terminatus stone, and I'm just going over the highest areas and the teeth to really highlight those before I come in with some white, and then we're going to use some skeletal horde to paint it up. Alice, down the beholder hole, what would you like to do?
Okay.
And I think at this point, let's roll initiative, shall we? Because it knows you're here.
If you wish to be a bastard.
Can I interest you in a copy of the Watchtower? Right.
16 initiative.
16 for Alice. And for Monsieur. I'm going to roll it with the Beholder dice. Whoop. Oh, it's a 16. So now let's start talking about stat blocks.
Right, okay.
Hello, the Mist Lounge. Great to see you. We are only just entering a proper combat. So the Death Tyrant has an armor class of 19. This is natural armor, but it's bone, so it is quite high. This is a nasty creature when it comes to stuff like this. It has 187 hit points. How many hit points does Alice have?
A whole 21.
Oh, it's better than I thought it was. They have a fly speed of 20 feet, so the same as a Beholder. They don't move very fast, but they have some reach. And they have some range. Their stats, strength is 0, so it's a 10. Dex, however, is a +2, so I'll be at 18 for initiative. Their constitution is a +2, however, their intelligence is +4. That is their like major stat. Wisdom of a +2 and a charisma of a +4. So although they're undead, they are basically a lich. They are insanely intelligent and they are insanely charismatic. Alice, I have an initiative of 18. What have you got?
6. Oh wait, I've lost it. 2 seconds.
Was it 16 on the dice, or was that 16 total?
It was 16. 16 total.
Okay. So the first thing that happens is it moves down and it sees you look at the heart. No, that cursed heart. I will destroy you before you can even get close to it. And you just feel this negative energy. So this is an ability, a natural ability of the Death Tyrant. This is called a negative energy cone. So whereas the Beholder has an anti-magic field, the Death Tyrant embraces undeath. And a Death Tyrant central eye emits an invisible, magical 150-foot cone of negative energy. At the start of each of its turns, the Death Tyrant decides which way the cone faces and whether the cone is active. Any creature that in that area can't regain any hit points. Any humanoid that dies there becomes a zombie under the tyrant's command. The dead humanoid retains its place in the initiative order and animates at the start of the next turn. So basically, if you die from this thing, you're it. And yeah, it's mad. And it just looks towards you and you feel this like negative energy and you just know that like you can't heal if it's looking at you and there's nobody to distract. You have to get to that heart. However, I would like you, as it drifts another 20 foot down, and it's like a 100-foot cavern here. Like this forge is huge, so it comes to like 80 foot away from you. I need you to roll me a d10, please. As these, like, where you normally see stalks on a beholder, there are just like this central eye of a glowing dot of pink, and then 10 of the same glowing dots around it, where even its eyes have gone through to undeath. What did you roll?
4.
A 4. Okay. The targeted creature must succeed on a DC 17 dexterity saving throw, please. On a failed save, the target speed is halved for 1 minute. In addition, the creature can't take a reaction.
I rolled a 16.
Yeah.
No.
Good. Let's make you feel this. It just chimes out, like it's almost like it's in your head, and you just feel slowed. You then, it's moved its 20 feet, it's had its action, it's your go.
Okay. I flip my staff out, I stick it into the heart, and I cast lightning.
Okay, so this is a saving throw for lightning, I believe, yes?
It's a dexterity saving throw, but on a target, on a stationary item.
Exactly. It automatically fails to save, so you can roll some damage. Now, I am going to give this a certain amount of hit points. Could you roll me a D100, please? And this will be added to 50.
Okay, so the D100 is 64.
64. It has 114 HP, this heart. I would let you know that beforehand, and this is sort of like an on-the-cuff, like, different way of fighting something. So, roll some damage. It automatically takes full.
Am I able to move around the forge to be able to get the lightning bolt to hit the beholder as well?
Okay, so the forge is huge. I mean, the dragon heart is bigger than you, but you could move. I mean, what, half your speed is 15 foot. You can start making your way around.
Yeah, that's right. 9d6.
So I now need to grab some white.
Okay, it takes 40 points of damage.
40 points of damage, okay. You just feel this, like... How does it look when you cast the spell, actually? And at the same time, Dragon School says, paint update, please. So, my paintwork.
As Heart's Fire sort of gives my my face a glow, I whirl around with the staff, and literally you'll see it crackle with electrical energy as I just point it at the heart and...
Nice. And it just... You watch the heart, and it almost, like, palpitates, and... It drips with more of this lava as it takes the full 40 points. You watch the beholder like, what do you hope to achieve here? I will kill you before you even get to destroying that cursed heart.
I resist the urge to shout Jaffa Cree as I use the stuff.
They have legendary actions, I'm afraid, Richard. So just like the beholder, they have 3 legendary actions, which are eye raise. So I need you to roll me a d10. However, the benefit here is that there's not a whole party, so it's only going to get 1 legendary action per turn. As for painting Dragon Skull, I'm still going through the bone. I'm going to add some white to this, and then we're going to use some skeletal horde on there. We have 28 minutes left, you know.
I rolled a 3.
A 3. That is... Okay, so can you make me a wisdom saving throw, please? So for those of you listening, this is a fear ray. So this, again, is one of the non-damaging ones. What did you roll?
24.
Awesome. So in this moment, you're stoic. You're like, this has to be done. I know this is our end, and I know that this is hopefully me killing something that I never stood a chance against in the first place. This ray, well, this glowing pink orb next to the beholder's sort of skeletal head, this singular skull, just looks at you and it flashes. And you don't see the ray, but you just feel this impending sense of doom come over you. However, you like hold on to your emotion and you cast it aside. And yeah, you are not fearful of this creature in this moment, knowing already that you are most likely going to die. It is its go as it moves another 20 feet downwards, and it is now 60 feet away from you. Maybe, after seeing you just like try and destroy the heart, maybe I should make this a bit quicker. And you start to see in and amongst the bones in here, the few that are in here, they start to move as the lair action starts bringing 2 skeletons to life. It then will target you with an eye ray. If you could roll a d10 for me, please. And what I like about having the player roll this is I can't fluff this. I can't be like, oh god, it's disintegration ray and I need them to survive. This is on the player, and the dice give a 7. Okay. Oh my god.
Nice take us away.
So again, another non-combative or non.
I thought that was a nasty one.
It's a sleep ray, so it's a non-damaging one. But this is bad for a single member of a party. So, sleep ray, can you make me a wisdom saving throw, please? The target creature must succeed.
I can't be charmed. I can't be put to sleep.
Because you're an elf.
I'm an elf.
Is that by magical means?
Fey ancestry, yep, by magical means.
This is not magical means.
Is it not?
No, this is a race ability.
That's mean.
It's horrible, right? But rules as written, I'm afraid, is an ability is not a spell. If it was the casting of the spell sleep, you cannot be put to sleep. But this is an ability, I'm afraid. Wisdom saving throw.
That is my only good stat.
I would hope so as a druid. The missiles. I'm going to start doing this with my table from now on. This worked well during the Beholder episode. Yeah, absolutely. It's then nobody can be like, oh, you don't like me. Like, nope, you rolled your own dice.
Yeah, you disintegrated yourself, Digger. That is a dirty 20.
Nice. So yeah, again, it looks at you and it's like, stronger than I thought. And then the 2 skeletons start making their way towards you. And they're only dwarves, so they're only 25 foot. You think in the next round, they're going to get to you. And they have like these heavy hammers in their hand. But it's your go. I need to grab a couple of greys, so give me 2 seconds, and you can update the lovely people on how you're getting on with your paint job.
Okay, so I have slapped a load of contrast around and done a little bit of dry brushing on the horns to then the next level of the dry brush. And then I'm going to grade the base out to start doing some of the bits and pieces. Luckily, it's just a rock base, so that is just going to be a case of dry brushing and shading, and then blacking around the edge of the base. Quite a simple little paint job, and I'm lucky I don't have the additional stalks to do, so it's quite handy.
And that's enough out of you. What would you like to do with your turn?
Okay, I am going to attack the forge again.
Okay.
Am I able to get to an angle to be able to discharge the lightning bolt that will be within 5 feet of the heart and the skeletons?
So let me just double check the slow. The target creature must see. So you're slowed for 1 minute. However, you could have repeated the saving throw at the end of your last turn. So would you like to make a dexterity saving throw, please?
As a dex saving throw?
Yes.
19.
19. Okay, so you feel that slow as you pull away from like that fear ray and that sleep ray. This one also wears off. You have your full movement back, you have your full reactions, and you have your action. You think you can get around to the point where like you could cast this through the heart and into the Death Tyrant.
Will I get the skeletons as well?
No, they are on like either side of the forge and they are coming around.
Okay, I'll do that then.
Okay. The heart will fail at the dex save, so it's going to take the full damage. But the Death Tyrant will have a go. So we'll use that Beholder dice that you can win by commenting Beholder on last week's Beholder Painting Up the Monster Manual video here on YouTube.
Head over to Instagram to share the post on my page as well.
And that is it. So a dex save. Saving throws for the Death Tyrant. So believe it or not, Dex is not one of the ones. Even though it has a plus stat, it's not one of the ones. It has a strength of +5, it has a con of +7, an intelligence of +9, wisdom of +7, and a charisma of +9 on its saving throws. Dex is the only one it doesn't, so it only gets its modifier. Oh, that's a 19.
It will pass for half damage.
Okay, so roll up the damage, and we'll go from there. I'm going to take some grey, and it's a slightly lighter grey, and I'm going to go over the tops of the base that I did, just to kind of give it some depth. And then I'm going to paint a few little details, maybe a little bit of off-white, and then that'll be my base done. We've got 20 minutes, well, 22.
That is 46 points of damage.
Okay, so 86 in total to the heart, as it, and you just feel this rumble, as another pulse of like hot wave of heat comes out of it, and it's almost like you hear that flapping again over the top of the beating of the heart. The Death Tyrant, no, as you pump 20, was he 46, so 23 points of damage into it. You watch as like the lightning crackles up part of its teeth and they crack a little bit. Ah, you insect. And with its legendary action, if that's the end of your go, D10 please, Richard. Or Alice, let's call you Alice.
Here we go, disintegration. 5.
Oh, it's not bad. Again, you're doing all right. You're doing all right.
What about you say? It's not bad. You're just fighting this massive fucking death stick.
So number 5 is the enervation ray. How the hell do you say that? Enervation. It's like energy, but enervation. There we go. So this is, you need to make me a Constitution saving throw, please. As one of these eyes, these glowing bits.
19.
19, okay. It turns black. Blacker than anything, like a void. And this tiny thread of cotton just links to you. And you just feel the energy being sapped out of you as... I actually need to bring up D&D Beyond. We're going to roll that in there. They normally deal 8d8 of necrotic damage. Oh! Oh. That's a good roll. You were going to take half of this damage. 40 dropped down to 20.
You fucking kidding? I'm on 1 hit point.
Woo! Die, you measly little worm. But it's the Death Tyrant's go.
Yeah.
As the skeletons... Actually, top of the round, lair action. Let's have some fun with this. I need to turn the page over to have a look at the other ones. So... Oh, fuck it. You watch as... it's almost like one of the eyes just appears across the other side of the forge at you, underneath the heart, but looking directly at you. It's like a void in space opens up, and you see one of these floating eyes. Can you roll me a d10, please? As another beam is going to come towards you.
Come on, disintegration. I want something cool. 4.
4. Back to the slowing ray. Can you make me a dexterity saving throw, please? So I'm going to take some white, and I'm just going to hit the edges of a lot of those bits of stone. And then I'll go in and pick out some details. What'd you get?
13.
13. That slow comes in again. And you feel yourself become an easier target. You feel that this is it. You have to survive maybe 5, 6 more seconds. You can do this. As the skeletons start making their way around. The first one. I want you to give him a flat roll. It's a 17.
Okay, I've not equipped my armor. Give me 2 seconds. I need to put the scale mail on. Okay, I've got an armor class of 16.
So it hits. Minimum damage on a d6 is 1.
I am dead.
Well, you're down. You're not dead yet.
No. I'm dead.
As the second skeleton moves up Gets advantage on the attack roll. First one's an 18, second one's a 3. 18 will hit as it just hammers down with the hammer in its hand, and part of your scale mail like crunches in on your chest, and there's this moment of consciousness where you're like as this like blood and spittle come out of your mouth, and the Death Tyrant up above you comes to within 40 feet and hovers literally over you, looking down like a god looking at an ant. Can you roll me a d10, please?
10.
10. This is the Death Ray.
Yay!
This is the Beholder's biggest card to play. And obviously it's random. It's down to the dice. You need to make a dexterity saving throw, which you can't make because you are technically unconscious, so you automatically fail. You're going to take 10d10 necrotic damage. We know that this is going to kill you, but we're going to roll it anyway. And let's see what happens to old Alice. Let me just go to here. I'm going to get the dice roller up. And where is it? Let's go there. As I've changed the music to something a bit more somber. Alice, you came here with one goal. That goal changed as you made your way through this dungeon, realizing how bad of a situation this was. Then there was hope. You saw the heart of the old Dwarven Forge, and you realized this Death Tyrant could have made its own trap. If you can destroy the heart, maybe it's enough to cause a shockwave of immense power that would bring this place down on you and it, sealing both of your fates forever. I'm going to roll the 10d10.
I can't even get away with a dying action, can I?
Give me a Constitution saving throw.
15.
No. You just see this Beholder, and like those last moments, is there anything Alice would say or, without taking a full action, do?
No. Basically, my thoughts just think back to the field at home I used to run through as a child. The land, the grass, the trees. And I know in my heart that that's where I'm going back to. My mortal vessel may be used, but that is just nothing in comparison to my spirit. And I await rebirth.
And the eye, the central glowing eye of this Death Tyrant, turns black. And veins almost like reach out from it and just seem to like almost lift you up for a second, and you just feel your skin withering away. Die. As your eyes begin to tunnel to black. And Alice slips down the rabbit hole.
And she is no more.
How you doing with your paintwork, bud?
Yeah,
I genuinely thought this was going to be super quick. And then I decided to make a dungeon in my head, and here we are with 15 minutes left. How was that?
Oh, I love that. That was awesome.
And I think, for me, knowing that like it was going to be like a huge combat, at least I can give you a bit more. Well, I say huge, a quick combat. At least I can give you a bit more beforehand. At least I can give you somewhat of a dungeon, some story, some chance to tell that story. And
well, that's it. It's the good fun. It feeds that sort of, you know, that story itch of not just being I'm not just looking at something on paper. I can breathe a bit of life into it and have a bit of fun. And I do really enjoy sort of reacting off yourself and, you know, going along with the story in bits and pieces. It's great.
Same, and it's yeah, I think one of my favourite parts of the week is just sit here and ad-lib a D&D dungeon combat encounter of some kind. And yeah, well done. Because I mean, like, level 3 against something like this, even like just the traps alone at the start would have been just chaos. But like to end up actually getting to face it and also surviving a few rounds. Well done, man.
I did a little bit, no.
So, as for a paint update, what I'm doing is I'm taking some contrast blue. This is Azurman blue, and I am very, very watered down, going around the outside of that central eye. And then I'm going to take my neon pink ink, and I'm going to start putting that in, and then I'll get it glued to the base. I am almost there, I think, for tabletop ready. How are you doing?
I am likewise almost tabletop ready. Done a couple of rounds of contrast and a bit of dry brushing on the actual body itself. Once that will dry off, I'll do just a top sort of light dry brushing to highlight some of the bones. I'm now just doing the base around the beastie, so it's at least got something underneath it.
Yeah, fair enough.
So we've got 15 minutes.
12 actually now. I'm actually going to change the music back to something a bit more jaunty now that Alice is dead. And we can chat painting. So have you ever had a Death Tyrant in a campaign?
Yes, recently.
Oh, really?
So I put to kick off one of the campaigns I was doing, did a big undead battle in a city, and basically one of the guardians of a portal to the Vale was a Death Tyrant.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. And so how many people were in that party, and what level were they?
It was a high-level party.
Oh, okay.
So it was level 12s, and there was, I think, 5, including NPCs.
Oh, okay, so there really was a decent chance against them then.
Yeah.
How did they fare?
A lot of other stuff going on.
Yeah.
And they had to contend with the portal.
Wow. So, I mean, like, how did they fare? I mean, did you lose anyone? Because these are one of those creatures where the dice decide it. It's not just tactics, it's just luck.
I nearly took down 2 of them.
Oh. Because I really like that death ray, and it's obviously, like, being a D10, you get 1 in 10 chance of doing it, but, like, most parties, by the time you face one, have enough health to take on 10d10.
Oh, yes.
But it's, yeah, well done. It's pretty hard going facing one of these things. So, I'm using that neon ink.
That looks beautiful. I love that.
To try and get into those areas there. Let's try and bring that to here so I can see my screen. And that will dry really well. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get a bit more in on that central eye. And then we will also try and get a white dot in there as well. Oh, thank you, Herbalist. So, Alton Black said purest black about the eye. The Mist Lounge, that was very cool. Thank you. I enjoyed that. I do like a classic monster. Herbalist, it was. I really enjoyed listening. Thank you, Herbalist. My absolute pleasure, and I'm sure Richard's absolute pleasure. And if not, Richard, it was your absolute pleasure. Dragon School, very well done. Yeah, I don't think I've managed to throw a Death Tyrant into a campaign yet.
No?
No, it's just one of those ones that, like, it's just too high of a CR, and it would...
What is the nastiest creature you've ever thrown in?
I think the pink herbalist, by the way, it's actually an alcohol ink, and it is by Brea Reese, maybe? But I got it from Hobbycraft. You get them in a pack of neon ones. I use those for dice making, hence why it's covered in resin, but it really works well on transparent paints. I think probably the worst one is the BBG. Well, I say one of the BBGs. There's a wizard who is basically Lich Lord level power, and they had an interaction with him as he was sort of in hiding as like just a wizard of the local area, and thanks to the way that the story went and things that they'd done beforehand, the local ruler was like, yeah, okay, I need you to go find out why this mine's not working anymore. Guess what, wizard? You're going with them because you're supposed to be in charge of this operation. He was like, what the fuck? No. Because it would give away his thing, and like there's this whole thing of them to try and work out on insight checks and stuff why he was so bothered about it after being so chill and so cool this entire time. And he's like, yeah, got to like into it, and they'd like convinced him to come. He'd rolled some blinding deception checks, but the king was like, you're fucking going. And it was just like, shit, I need to play my part, which means that the party need to die. if they work out who I am. And he got to the entirety of the end of the dungeon, and nobody had worked it out. And he was like, I'm going to get away with this. And then one party member dropped a bit of lore because they were like, I think we can trust this guy. And it was just everything he was looking for. And I was just like,
you gotta go.
Oh my God. I was like, oh shit. And I just looked at the party member and I was like, how many hit points have you got? And they were like, 25? I was like, he points a finger at you and goes, thank you for that. You can die now. And finger of death, just like done. Roll initiative, 2 rounds in, and it was just like disintegrate. And yeah, it was fucking brutal, and I felt so bad. And it was just like, you gave him everything. Luckily, though, I had like contingencies planned for if that had ever happened, and it set off another story bit, and it was just like, oh God, very like the betrayal on like their faces was insane.
Yeah, so when it's like that, it is a.
I felt so shitty as well because I was just like, I didn't set this up to be like this. You're not supposed to know about him yet.
Not like this.
Yeah.
Not like this.
I think I felt worse than the players because they were like, oh my God, that was amazing. And I was like, are you sure you're okay? Oh yeah, I just killed all of you. So I'm going to take some skeletal horde. And I'm now going to go sort of like around the gums. And the teeth. How are you getting on? You got 6 minutes.
Apart from drawing, I'm done.
Nice. Problem with contrast paints is I want to just lag it in there. What about you? So what do you think is like the worst creature you've thrown at a party?
I would probably say that the undead fight, because I was quite mean because I put in a Death Knight. And the Undead Tyrant, a lot of magic users, and I went quite brutal. Yeah. So it was a case of, I said before, I started the campaign, I said, like, right, I'm going to kill you. If you make silly decisions, if you do this, I will react. I will play everything out like it's supposed to be done. Yeah.
And I think that's, there are certainly, like, bits where, like, I don't tell my players much beforehand because I don't want to reveal anything, or I'm not like, it's not me versus you, and I don't think that's what you do either, but I do tell them before a major fight, like, understand this PC or this NPC is looking to kill you. I am going to play them as them, not as me.
Well, we people had been going quite a while, getting used to things, a couple of little slip-ups and stuff like that, and us, starting again, it was just a case of, right, this is it now. This is the shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was quite brutal with my spells. As I said, I nearly took down a couple of them, and I fucked them up.
And yeah, I mean that's one of the things. And I think like spellcasters by nature are high intelligence, and they are like, they're not going to be like, oh, I'll just cast a cantrip. They're going to be like, I'm going to quicken that. I'm going to use fucking Finger of Death, and then I'm going to blast you with X, Y, and Z. And yeah, because that's kind of their nature, and like meta magics on a sorcerer and stuff like that. I think when you've got like creatures like the Beholder and it's down to a dice roll, what I really like is that, one, I give that to the players, and when you kept rolling things that weren't damage dealing, I was like, we can put the evilness in there for the RP of like, I'm gonna make you suffer. We're gonna make this slow. And I like that. It gives us a chance to like tell some more story.
And like you said, it's nice because then no one can feel picked on.
Yes, exactly that. And I think when there's a full party, that's the other thing I do is I will also randomly roll. I get them to go like, right, 1 to 5, you've all got a number. Somebody roll me a d6. On the d6, roll it again.
And I'll do that as well. And I'll get people to roll. Sometimes if certain combat's happening and someone's not involved, I'll get them to roll the damage or the hit.
Yes.
For the creature.
And I think that is a brilliant way of doing it because, and I ended up, by the way, lagging this in the Skeletal Horde because I was like, fuck it. So now we have a slightly more browned one, and I'll go over those teeth again in a minute. The only time I will probably stop them from doing that is if I know it's going to be a killing blow, or if I know it's going to be like, oh, this could kill a character. That way it's not like another player killing another player's character and then feeling bad for each other. At that point, I'll be like, I'm going to stop you there. I will do this. Because we are looking at like somebody taking away someone's enjoyment here. Or, basically somebody killing each other, and
Yeah.
I don't want the players to suffer against each other. I'm going to take a little bit of Retributor Armor. 2 minutes 59. So you know you sent me out Soul the Holiest?
Yes.
I've got his hammer on there.
Oh, I love it.
Like the bit that I didn't use. So I'm going to have this hammer in this like buried dwarf.
You're painting him up? No, is it Soul you're painting or the other one?
Oh no, it's Soul. So my variant of Soul, which you can catch me and Richard painting up on Band of Badgers, twitch.tv/Band of Badgers on the 20-something of this month. I think it's like the 28th or something like that.
Is it next week?
I will have to check the calendar. If not, check out Band of Badgers Instagram and Facebook and Twitch, and it will all be on there. And yeah, we're going to carry on painting up one of the monsters that we didn't quite finish here on Dragonborn Industries. So has anybody else out in the audience managed to throw a Death Tyrant into their D&D campaigns? Have they, how did the parties fare against those? I need some more of that brown to get some of those boots that are sticking out from underneath this rock. As my head hits the mic.
As you do.
Oh, 1.5 minutes. I might not be done. I flew too close to the sun, Richard.
Dude. Icarus, pull up.
I flew too close to the sun. And I made it. You can't stop me, God. Oh, will he get it? Will he get it? Will he get it? Why did I put details on the base? Why? What was I thinking?
For realism.
You fool! It's a fantasy game.
I think literally the only thing I'm not going to be able to do is wash the bones I've got on the base here, and that's it.
I think it's the I mean, like, I'm tabletop ready as long as I can get it glued down. But I feel like I can do a little bit more. Oh, I've got 30 seconds! 30 seconds!
Right, brush down, and then brush down.
Oh god, I'm pushing it. Push it real good. Oh god, what did I use? Skeletal Horde! It's all in his asshole.
Excuse me. Brush his back.
Oh, there it is!
Pops away.
So, I'm going to presume you are done.
I'm done.
I'm just going to hold that there as it glues. And we shall see how we've done. Dibs, time gentlemen, please. How you doing? Let's see the final result.
So, look, see if I can figure out and make sure I can get this the right way around.
Gluing doesn't count. It's my train set. I'm playing with it. Oh, dude.
It'll focus.
It will. Believe. Believe. There it is. Oh, I like the darker horns. You've done it. So would you go in and do anything with the eye at all, or would you leave it like that?
So, if I'm honest, I would probably get some sort of a glow going in there, and maybe even possibly it'd be the sort of thing that if I had like those lovely little inks you've got, I would have printed out a clear resin eye.
Yeah.
And done it that way.
I'm really hoping mine stays glued here with the Accelerator. It's quite a heavy mini, the Nolzur's one. It's quite a thick plastic. Oh, we got it. So, what I've done is glue it onto that base there. And I didn't get the white point on the eyes, and I didn't get the teeth to be a bit brighter, but we've got a little hammer, some dwarven boots underneath some collapsed rock.
I love it, mate. Brilliant.
I I will take some pictures of that shortly and get it all up on the Instagram.
I also got to use my dry brush plate for its maiden voyage.
Oh, cool. You were speaking about these the other week. They're really, really cool. You print and sell those as well, don't you?
I have printing them to test them out, and then they will be becoming a range of sellable things.
Because they are really quite a fun thing to do, and it's like a test print for dry brushing and stuff like that. And yeah, it's really fun to see like how all the different textures take on the brush and the palette. But yeah, that is the Death Tyrant done. I would say that was tabletop ready within an hour.
In an hour, both of us, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a good result.
But you were pointing the finger guns like you had something to say.
Before I forget, because I always forget, the picture I sent you, if you pop up and just show everyone the giveaway beholder.
Oh, maybe. Who knows? You don't know.
So kind.
I'll open WhatsApp on the computer.
That's it.
As we all sit here and waffle some time away, is it?
And if anyone ever does want to get a hold of a beholder for themselves, there are multiple bits and pieces to choose from. Drop me a message. As I said, multiple sizes available, because as you can see, things can be scaled. This little fella is a much smaller version of this one.
So, this is the beholder. And that's the one that you can win by going to youtube.com/Dragonborn Industries, finding episode 14, where we had the amazing Mist Lounge, we had Dragon Skull Studios, we had Band of Badgers, and we had Richard, and of course, we had little old me, all taking on the role of a party, an actual D&D party to take on a beholder, and we had some amazing paint jobs within the hour. I mean, like, Dave got so much red onto his beholder, and he was doing a similar one that was huge. You nailed it. You got so much done, and then you finished the rest of it with Herbalist on Band of Badgers. The Mist Lounge, first time painting, yeah. Nailed it. Got this like really vivid blue on there, and like within an hour, killed it.
I love that blue that he did.
Yeah, and like with the yellow eyes, and obviously Dragon Skull was painting a zombie beholder and using that skeletal horde and stuff like that again, and again, just a different approach to it, and it was just amazing to have one extra painters on there on the channel, and also to like surprise Richard with that. But you can go and win that, and I need to now get rid of that down there and show you this, because that is obviously the dice that we made with a nice beholder eye in there. So that print, this dice could all be yours. Share the post from Richard's profile on Instagram, which you can actually see here in the chat. There is a link to Richard's page there, and also go to episode 14 on YouTube. You have to sub, like, and just comment the word beholder. Not many people have done that bit yet. That's what you need.
Without it, you can't win. So.
Yeah, so go do that. Sauron the beholder, says Dibs. And yeah, and you could win those two things, which is awesome. But that is the end of today's episode. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming along. As always, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here in the audience. And yeah, may the dice gods be ever in your favor. Take it easy, guys.